to Sports Khabri, and with me are Adi and Rishi. Guys, an interesting conversation I thought we could have, which is uh, whether Cristiano Ronaldo is going to continue playing another major international tournament. So, of course, when I say that, I mean, will he play the 2026 FIFA World Cup? It's interesting because, of course, he's got a contract at Al-Nassr till 2025. He's coming into these Euros, and he's going to play the Euro, of course. But after that, he's got a year left on his club deal. No, Rishi, do you see if Ronaldo retires at Al Nassr at 40, he'll be 40 then. It has to be, yeah, then there's no chance of him playing the 2026 World Cup, right? Or do you think, okay, what do you think firstly? Do you think he's going to just generally play the 26 World Cup?
I mean, see, of course, it is not in Portugal's best interest, I think, if he starts every game. But considering
This
that,
time,
no.
this time.
I'm saying in 2026. Even this
Okay.
time, see, this time they pretty much don't have any other option. Like, Joao Felix is in horrible
Mm.
form, and Ramos doesn't start. Like, he's not even able to start for PSG. And at least going into the World Cup, Ramos was in decent form. He was also the one-off game that he got. He was able to score a few goals. That's why, and the team in general looked better with him. And I feel that's not the case, at least now, that he's not even having enough starts at PSG. Like I said, Felix is not performing well. Jota is also not at the peak of his game at Liverpool currently, coming back from the injuries. So yeah, it makes sense that Ronaldo starts this World Cup, this Euros. That being said, for the upcoming World Cup, he's going to be 41. I don't see how the national team would benefit from him starting every game. He's not, of course, like you could see even 1.5 years ago how he was not able to lead the line in terms of pressing off the ball. Of course, with the
Mm.
national team, you don't need to do that. There are a team that usually just sits back and attack. Even then, I don't think he would be a sure shot starter. By then the team would have grown beyond him. But I feel he can still be a part of the squad. I mean, whether he does that, whether he's the type of player who wouldn't mind sticking around to guide the youngsters and take a more laid back role in terms of being a squad member. That I don't know. I don't think he'd do that, but I don't see why he can't do that.
Dude, I think for me, the thing is, like with Ronaldo, if he has to continue and play another World Cup, I think a lot depends on his club career. If he
Mm-hmm.
plays a year beyond Al Nassr, yeah, then he will play the World Cup. If he's still active in club football, I think he will play. But if he's not active in club football and he says at 2025, this is it over, finished at 40, then I don't see him playing the World Cup. I don't know how you can play how you can get in a footballer who hasn't at that point he would have not played any competitive football for a year, right? If he retires in 2025 from club football, he hasn't played till 2026. I don't see how the national team is going to be like, okay, you know what, come and play at 41. So that way, I think it's a little dicey, but it's interesting with Ronaldo. Adi, what do you think, dude? But that I think it depends on his club career. So I don't see him ending his club career. So which is why I think yeah he will play the World Cup. But what do you think?
So you can tell there are two things when it comes to this, right? First is Ronaldo's side, and second is the national team side. If you look at Ronaldo's side, I think for him, he still has that ambition to win the World Cup in terms of, no matter what. I mean, the World Cup's not that far away in terms of sporting years. It's only 2 years away. Ronaldo in his fitness, I think he can easily stay and sustain his physical levels for another 2 years. I mean, I don't think he can drop off that much in terms of physique. Like, I'm sure he's still one of the strongest players. Physically, he's still up on the top level. So when it comes to conditioning, physical wise, I don't think there'll be a huge drop off in the next 2 years for him to, suddenly be kicked out of form, or it's Ronaldo at the end of the day. So in terms of that, yeah, I don't think. See, I think it's always for him. It's like that missing feeling of a World Cup. I think he really wants to win that, and he will have to give it a shot. 2026, realistically, is the last World Cup he can ever play. So I think he's going to sustain his physique and he's going to sustain his career till then. I think he'll. I mean, when we talk about Al Nassr, I think he'll play. If not for Al Nassr, maybe somewhere else in Europe.
Someone else,
If
yeah.
he can play, I still think even if he's in Al Nassr, I mean, I'm sure he can. Like, I don't think Al Nassr would want to, like, if they have the opportunity to extend for another year, it's going to happen for sure. And I think in his contract also he has an extension clause anyways till the World Cup.
Right.
So in terms of that, I don't think he's going to leave the national team at least. But if you're looking at it from the national team perspective, will they want to take him? Is what we can talk about, because we saw last World Cup he was dropped in the semi-final. I mean, in the quarterfinals, both the round of 16 and quarterfinals. He was dropped against Switzerland. They won 6-1. Ramos scored 3 goals. Then you thought, okay, this team is wonderful. They can sustain. They can still play in the top level. They might look better in knockout stages without Ronaldo. Then they took on Morocco in the quarterfinals. They lost that game.
Yeah.
Ronaldo came on. He actually had the best chance also of the game. And
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in terms of that, like he's the one who was. He's the thing is for me, like you see in the next 2 years, do you think Portugal will get any striker who's better than what they already have in terms of Ronaldo? Who are the striking options right now? I don't think they have a wonder kid or someone who can come in the 2 years in terms of a young talent. Like you can't have a teenager leading the line in the World Cup. You can, but I don't know if they have a generational talent like that. And then we look at players like Joao Felix, Jota, Ramos. They're not all pure strikers. They can't play strike by themselves. Even if you talk about Felix, he's not a pure striker. If you talk about, who else? Jota, he's also not a proper center forward. I think Ronaldo can still be a target man. He can still play for them. So in terms of that, will they want to take him? I don't think Portugal have any other choice in terms of players. Like at the end of the day, when you have Ronaldo, you
Mhm.
still have Ronaldo, right? So I just think it's a bit of both, and both of Portugal side and Ronaldo side, both of for both of their own interests, I think he will end up playing the World Cup because I can't see
But I think
anyone else
that
in many ways.
no, true. I think there is no replacement for him. But I think the interesting thing with Ronaldo is just the fact that I think we underestimate the fact that how much of an influencing factor that him not winning the World Cup is. I think that itself is enough to drive him to play the 2026 World Cup. But again, there's a national team element, which is like, why would they want to carry him on for another World Cup at 41? And if he doesn't deliver this Euro, do you see him like? I think that it also depends on that, like whether he does well in this competition. If he doesn't, I don't know if they will want to look at him 2 years down the line.
I mean, for me, I still think they'll end up taking him. I don't. That's my point. If even with other great players like Messi, etc., even if they're at their end of their career, you still take them. It's not like the Portugal team can suddenly get 10 folds better if you don't pick Ronaldo. There is no loss or downside for you to pick Ronaldo into your team. In the national team, you're not paying any huge wages to Ronaldo. There's nothing for him. I mean, as a national team, it's a no-brainer for them. If you say you want to pick someone else in terms of a striker option, you'll have to see players like Felix, Liao, Ramos, who are not doing well in their leagues itself. Like all three players haven't scored double figures. They don't even touch double figures. Liao's barely scored any goals in Serie A. Same with Felix. He doesn't pay much for
Yeah, he's not a
Barcelona.
starter. Sure, sure.
Ramos, again, you can say he was unlucky, but again, he doesn't start for PSG too. And do
Yeah.
you think these guys can end up leading the line? I don't think so. And again, in terms of the factor of, Ronaldo will still have the hunger. Maybe we don't think or we don't know if he's going to be in the best form. Again, it's a very short tournament. World Cup's going to only be there for like 1.5 months in terms of the entire tournament. So I think that will be his last chapter no matter what. I don't think he'll play a
Okay.
club game after that. I think for him, it's like, with Ronaldo, it's more like a storyline. He knows that this is the end. And, if he gets wins the World Cup, because again, Portugal would end up, presumably have a great talented squad. And they would have a good chance at that time. You never know. And,
Mm.
if he's going to win it, even if he doesn't majorly contribute, if he just wins it off the bench, it's going to be a storyline for him, ended on the best World Cup, etc., etc. So there's so many factors for me to never like. I can't even doubt myself thinking, oh, will Ronaldo play? I'm 2000% sure he's going to play until something majorly changes in his career. I don't think he's not going to play.
Yeah, dude, and like I think the storyline also matters too. I think because he didn't play that. Of course, he did play a major part in Portugal reaching the final in 2016, but of course got injured and whatever had to come off in the final. I think him not being the main man also sort of is a weird feeling for him. Maybe I don't know if it is, but yeah, it could be again contributing factor to push him to play the
He'll be the
2026
main
World
man
Cup.
now again because Now they
Yeah,
have
even
Roberto Martinez as their manager, right? So
yeah,
with
and he
Martinez, I
loves him.
think, yeah, exactly. So I don't think he's going to drop him this Euros no matter what. So again, yesterday he scored a couple of goals also, right, against
Yeah, yeah.
Ireland. So and one was a pretty good goal. So I think you can't drop him, and I don't think the manager is going to drop him also. And yeah, I just think he's going to play the World Cup.
Okay, so how much of a contribution do you think he'll have? At least, of course, see, we know that if he plays, if he goes to the World Cup, and considering none of the other strikers are primed and ready to take over, how much of a contribution do you think he'll be able to give from a team perspective? Like, and how much do you think the team will have to chop and change for him?
Bro, the thing is, like, I don't think it matters for him. For him, it's going to be like, even if I'm on the bench, he'll be happy with it. For him, it's more of being in the World Cup, making sure he can participate in the World Cup and maybe have a good chance winning it. Who knows? That's why I said maybe by that time you might have players in good form. See, it's 2 years down the line. It's very, very tough for us to even know which player would have come up by then. Are there any upcoming talent from Portugal who will end up taking the
Hmm.
strike or any attacking unit? So in terms of
Hmm.
contribution, I still feel like if he can't contribute, manager will end up playing him. If he's not in that condition or peak condition for him, for Ronaldo to come step onto the pitch, play 90 minutes in the World Cup, maybe he might come off the bench like the way he did in the previous World Cup. Maybe he doesn't even score a goal. Maybe he plays barely any minutes. But for him, it's going to be like I need to make sure I'm in Portugal squad. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking in terms of a future perspective, you might think, okay, like I'm sure in 2 years, generally when we look at football, you'd always think these guys have become better, in terms of Portugal's defensive unit, midfield unit, and striking unit, attacking unit, right? And all three levels have very good depth of squad and very high quality players. Maybe in these 2 years he might think, okay, even if I fair enough, I can't get into the team. I mean, I know for a fact his attitude is always going to be like, I'm still a star player. You need to make me play strike. But for him, he's
Hmm.
going to be happy to sit on the bench if he knows, okay, I have a good chance of winning the World Cup. I think that's more
Hmm.
important.
I,
Even,
I I actually don't know about that. I feel
I
like
feel like,
bro, I think he's the type who'll be like, bro, no matter what, I have to be there. If I'm not playing a star role,
dude, he's smart like that.
actually,
Like,
I don't
I'm
know.
sure see, it goes both ways. Like, for him, I guess it could be like, okay, if he's in the Portugal squad, they make it to the World Cup, they win the World Cup. You're going to get that storyline, see, I won the World Cup, I was in the squad, etc. You can't, even if he doesn't score any goals, no one's going to care about it. Everyone's going to be like, okay, Ronaldo won the World Cup. So that
Bro, no
storyline is
one will
completely.
care about it, but he will care about it. I
I
feel.
don't,
I
See,
don't
bro,
know.
he's the
I don't think so.
also
You
see
look at
that's the
Euros, like, Eder is the one who
like
scores the
when
final
it
goal.
comes to
But
his
he was the
mentality,
one who
that's one
celebrated
thing
the
I've
most.
always felt. When it comes to his mentality, he's always the type where it's not about, it's like whenever we talk about Ronaldo, it's never been about the team, it's never been about how, you know it's usually when you speak about a lot of other players like the Messis, it's always been about how he also contributes. It's more of a team factor. But then when it comes to Ronaldo, it's all about him, the one man show, the guy who always pulls the team from the depths of defeat. Like, it's always been that kind of a storyline. Even I think he also relishes, and he also loves that attention when it comes to him. Like it's all about
Hmm.
him, his name, his aura, you can say that. Like that's the kind of feeling that I've always, and I'm pretty sure most of them, even including himself, has felt about Ronaldo. So in that
Dude,
sense, I feel whenever, I too, I kind of agree with Rahul that if it comes to that, like he, of course, in front of the public and in front of everything, he's gonna be like, yeah, of course, I'm more than happy taking up the squad role. But then you can see his little bit antiques here and there. He's gonna throw a bottle, or he's gonna wave his hand in the air, or throw the armband, or
bro,
like, yeah,
bro,
for
today,
sure, here and there
oh,
you're gonna see that.
dude, you know what? Today I was just reading some interview Ronaldo, so he did, which he gave with UEFA. He just gave to UEFA, I think yesterday or something. And he's the first player to play in 6 Euros ever.
Yeah.
The first and only player. And he said, yeah, like it's just another thing that I wanted or something like that. I was like, brother, this guy will never change.
So that's the
But
thing.
actually, I have a question for you. Dude, I have a question for Rishi one side. Bro, okay, cool. Like, fine. We all think he's going to play the 2026 World Cup. But
Mm.
like, what did you get from like vibes wise when he was at Manchester United? He was, of course, like I'm talking about late 2022. Did you want him out, or like were you happy with him? Like, what is the, because I've never experienced it. Adi's never experienced it. Like having Ronaldo in your team, so to speak. So, what is the feeling like when he was there at Manchester United for you?
I mean,
Second stint on top.
see, you guys have known me for a while. How like I've in the past I've been, of course, been like, yeah, I've been more of a Messi supporter. Like you guys know that, and it's not even like I've felt that it's more of Ronaldo who'd help the team elevate. Like, but then there's something about him that I don't know how to put it other than inevitability. The minute, like, even though I was not very thrilled when I heard that okay, he's coming. The minute that Fabrizio Romano's "Here We Go" comes, the minute he's presented, the first game where he's actually unveiled, you can't help but feel excited. Even for someone who was not really keen on having him, you can't help but feel that excitement. And going into games, of course, there were games where we were terrible and we were looking down and out. Of course, a little bit has to do with him when it comes to your team not being able to press in the front, your team always having to sit back because you're not able to cover ground. But you always felt that you were never completely out of the game, unless, of course, you're playing against those Pep Guardiola teams, your Klopp's teams where you're completely out, you're killed within like 60 minutes or 70 minutes. You knew that you were not completely out. It only takes half a minute. You had that sense of confidence, that sense of inevitability that okay, like all it takes is a little bit of magic, which time and again he did show for us. Like in the take the games of Atlanta away, and then the Tottenham hat trick, or the winner against Villarreal. All those like those are all stoppage time goals or hat tricks that he has scored, and the kind of goals were not even like team goals. Those were just him taking shots from ridiculous angles. So whenever he played, of course, you knew that logically you knew you could do better slightly with another younger player who could contribute more from a team perspective. But at the same time, you felt that confidence that okay, your team is not done. As long as he's there, you are not completely out of the game. You got that little sense of confidence. That's the main
Yeah.
thing. At least when Ronaldo plays like this, I can safely say for any team that he is played for. If you ask a fan, I think this will be the biggest confidence matter that they can say that from like when he plays, you know that you are not out. You know that he's gonna pull something out of the hat.
Interesting. I always looked at it from a very different perspective, which was that okay, great, let him keep playing for Manchester United for as long as possible. It's great for us. But yeah, actually, yeah, dude, you want to finish off with you? What do you say?
In terms of what Ronaldo's play style or what?
No, no, no. You
Like,
were saying something before we started this.
I mean, I don't get. I don't
Okay,
remember.
never
But
mind, never
if
mind.
you talk about me as a perspective of, would I love having Ronaldo in my team? Maybe ages ago, yeah, for sure. Because again, he was like that Haaland type of scorer when he was in his prime peak. He had that inevitability of scoring from tough angles with that short power he has. It's very tough for a striker to turn in those angles and shoot very narrow angles. So in terms of that, I would have
Mm,
had it maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. But yeah, I mean, post 2020, post this move to Juventus, yeah, I mean, I think there was a major fall off, and you can see how like you need uh, Ronaldo plays thrives out of moments. It's not that he can consistently keep doing that for forever. And one of those teams that thrives out of moments a lot in the past 8, 9 years has been Real Madrid, and that's why they've won so
yeah,
many Champions Leagues.
Mm.
They don't need 10 moments to score a goal. You can just give them one moment and they'll score, as we saw in the Champions League. We
yeah,
could see like they deserved to be 3-0 down within the first half. They didn't. All they needed was one out of nothing corner and they scored. And that's the same thing of the entire team. I feel like that's their DNA. And in that era, I think is suited of playing for Real Madrid because that's how they played. But if I was speaking in a VAR era where there are offsides for sure, you can find a lot of offside. So
yeah.
obviously you can see lesser goals in terms of UCL, Premier League, etc. But yeah, I think overall in his later stages, I would have always been happier having someone else, like a younger
Yeah, I
player.
agree as well. I don't think I would have him anywhere near Arsenal at this point. But anyways, he's going to play for Portugal in the Euros. Guys, you could catch Cristiano Ronaldo if you're a big Ronaldo fan. Of course, he's going to be there, and hopefully in the 26th World Cup as well for you. Again, if you are a big Ronaldo fan. For us who are not, it really doesn't. To me, it really doesn't make a difference if he's there or not. But yeah, it'd be nice for the game to see one of the sort of biggest players play another international tournament. So that's that from us, guys. Thanks, Adi and Rishi. Everybody watching, please do like and share the videos and subscribe to Sports Company. See you soon.